The Vatican is the wealthiest religious institution in the world. Its paintings, basilicas, and priceless treasures rival the historical artifacts and museums of entire nations. Its bank quietly manages billions of dollars, its influence stretches from Wall Street to the poorest villages on earth, but there is something most people don't know: this massive empire of wealth didn't just fall from the sky. It was built. Like every great fortune in history, its foundations were laid not just with faith, but with money, power, and the kind of deals that would shock the devout. Today, our topic is not theology, but economics. Because the story of the Vatican's wealth is the story of how a spiritual movement transformed into a financial empire and how money became the oxygen of faith. It all began the moment Christianity was legalized. In 313 AD, Emperor Constantine issued the Edict of Milan, making Christianity a legal religion. Overnight, a small underground faith group became a state-backed institution. With legitimacy came a flood of gifts. Aristocrats donated land, and emperors showered the church with treasures. Constantine himself financed the first St. Peter's Basilica. The message was clear: wealth and holiness could walk hand in hand. In that moment, the church learned a lesson every empire knows: power requires money. During the Middle Ages, the church perfected its first great financial invention, the tithe, a 10% tax. Believers were required to give 10% of their income to the church. This was a continuous stream of cash flowing from peasant fields into the coffers of bishops in Rome. It wasn't an act of charity, it was a tax sanctified by religion. By the year 1000, it is estimated that the Catholic Church owned nearly one-third of all land in Western Europe. Long before banks existed, the Church was Europe's largest landlord. When land and taxes weren't enough, a new financial weapon was discovered in the 11th century: indulgences, certificates of sin absolution. The marketing strategy was brilliant: pay the church to reduce the punishment for your sins, or those of your deceased relatives, in the afterlife. Salvation went on sale, and business boomed. This gold financed not only churches but also wars. The Crusades were not just holy wars, they were also massive financial markets. Cities were conquered, treasures were seized, and it all flowed into the papal treasury. In the Renaissance era, popes were no longer just spiritual leaders, they were princes, lords, and bankers. They wanted to build a new and magnificent St. Peter's Basilica, but this luxury came at a high price. To raise the funds, they doubled down on indulgence sales. A famous saying of the time went, "As soon as the coin in the coffer rings, the soul from purgatory springs." It wasn't just clergymen on stage, partnerships were formed with giant banking families like the Medici. Although the church considered interest a sin, it multiplied its money through these banks behind the scenes. Papal palaces became centers of luxury and scandal. But like every bubble, this one burst. In 1517, Martin Luther sparked the Reformation by declaring, "Salvation cannot be bought with money." The Vatican's greed for wealth ignited the rebellion that shattered its monopoly over Christianity. In the 19th century, the Vatican lost its territories and was thought to be collapsing. However, the Lateran Treaty signed with Benito Mussolini in 1929 changed everything. To secure the papacy's support, Mussolini paid the church billions of dollars in today's money. With this capital, the Vatican established the famous Vatican Bank. Operating in total secrecy, this bank sat at the center of everything from Cold War politics to mafia scandals. Events like the discovery of Roberto Calvi, known as God's banker, hanging under a London bridge in the 1980s showed just how far this holy institution had delved into the dark arts of finance. The Vatican's wealth did not rain down from heaven. It was engineered through taxes, land grabs, indulgences, deals with dictators, and banking maneuvers. This story isn't just about religion, it's about the mechanics of power. The Vatican is not the only example. Every system that tells you, "Trust me," while growing its own wealth behind your back is playing the same game. Whether it's corporations that speak of values while exploiting workers, or banks that promise security while gambling with your money, the formula is always the same: faith on the surface, money underneath. When you look at the golden halls of the Vatican, do not see only religion. See the oldest lesson in financial history: wealth built in the dark always wears a mask of virtue. Whenever you are told to trust a system, always ask this question: who is actually profiting from my faith?